Because he was nervous, he was sweating, and every drop of sweat smelled like food for Vic. When they got to the house, they waited in David's living room for his wife and his children to get home from school. When the wife and kids finally got home from school, the wife said to David, "What's going on here? Who's this stranger?" She obviously had no idea what was going on. David said nothing. It was as if he was just waiting for Vic to do what Vic said he came over to do. Vic looks at the wife and the children and he greets them. He says hello. And then he turns to David and asks, "You weren't even going to say goodbye?" The wife is now scared, very unsure of what's happening. Vic then explains the entire situation to the wife. He explains who he is, what he is, and why he's there. At first, she doesn't believe him, but David's silence spoke volumes. Vic then gives the wife an ultimatum. He says, "I can either do what David thinks I'm here to do, or I can do those things to David. It's up to you." Of course, being the protective mother that she was, she chose the latter. David's last moments on this planet were painful, excruciating, and horrifying. It was fun for Vic, though. Vic remained very close with the family, so close that in 2011, when the mother and the son passed away in a car accident, Vic set up the daughter with a house in Antigua. And in 2020, at the beginning of the pandemic, when she moved back to the U.S., she became Vic's familiar. Not only was she Vic's familiar, but they were very good friends. They're actually still friends today, except the daughter just looks a lot older than Vic now.
See what I mean about Domo might be Vic? Like, I really think that Domo is Vic. The age dates add up, the date of birth adds up. He's always constantly using the name Vic. I think he is hinting at something, and I think I'm picking it up. Let me know what you think. So then we move on to part 42 of this vampire series, and part 42 was posted on April 28th of 2025. Again, there's a comment, and this comment reads, "We're waiting for your sinner's reaction." So Domo makes a video responding to this comment, basically breaking down the movie, and he tells truths in a way that I just wasn't expecting, but also in a way of like, you had to have been there and experienced it firsthand type of vibe. I don't even know how to explain it. You'll just have to see for yourself. Either this man is the best liar I've ever seen, or he's telling his truth, and I don't know which. In this video, Domo breaks down and explains very important, subtle moments in the movie that a lot of people might have missed. But when you see them and put them all together, like Domo will do in this video, it almost changes the whole movie Sinners and puts it in a whole new light. It almost makes it an entirely different movie. Obviously, I am not explaining it as well as Domo will, so just check it out, but don't say that I didn't warn you. Ready? Let's go.
First of all, let me say it was an amazing movie. Very well written, very well directed. It was shot beautifully. It was dark, it was gritty, it was funny. It gave you everything you would want in a movie. Good story, good plot points. There was sex, there was violence, there was love, there was sadness, there was jokes. It was cohesive, it was well thought about. It was historically accurate in regards to the Jim Crow era. Phenomenal film through and through. But something tells me that the reaction that you are waiting for is not a reaction on the movie per se, but the hypotheticals within the movie. I said it once and I'll say it again. There are certain tales that are told about vampires for the sole reason of making humans, us, feel like we're safe. They're also told to bump up the drama, to give the drama a little boost, to enhance the conflict between your protagonist and your antagonist. For there to be deep drama and great conflict, the goals of the protagonist have to directly conflict with the goals for the antagonist. In Sinners, one of the goals of the protagonist is to protect himself and his people. The goal for the antagonist is to turn humans into vampires and or eat them.
Yeah.
Now, hypothetically, in the real world, vampires don't need your permission to come into your house or wherever you are dwelling at the moment. That's not a thing, hypothetically.
Yeah.
But to keep this kind of conflict going within a movie, you have to give the weaker bunch something that stops the antagonist. It's like the tiny stone that took down Goliath. You got to give him a stone. And that stone is not allowing vampires to come in unless they're invited. Being told that all you have to do is stay inside and not invite them in is a really good way to
That
keep
makes sense, I think.
people feeling as though they're safe. People nowadays don't really
think
believe
they are
in that
safe.
as much, but in the 1920s, they absolutely believed that. The reason why this is believable is because there was a way to keep vampires not only out of your house, but miles away from you, and that's with pink roses. So if you just so happen to have pink roses outside of your house in the 1920s, then you might believe that you were protected because you never invited them in. Another thing that was very much so believed in the 1920s was vampires don't like garlic. Being told that vampires don't like garlic was widely believed because people needed something to believe in. Anyone who believed that never really had any proof. They just believed it because they were told it. Why? Because they need something to believe in. They need something that makes them feel safe.
Yeah.
The funny thing, though, is that garlic is a natural blood thinner. So do with that as you must. The most intriguing thing about this movie to me was this character. And I'm really trying to figure out how Ryan Coogler figured this out. This is Sammy, Stack and Smoke's little cousin. Sammy's character seems to be based off of Robert Johnson. Robert Johnson is the guitarist who got his magical guitar from the devil. And that was why he was able to play so well. Now in the film, Sammy's father keeps making reference to Sammy playing around with the devil. He says, you know, you keep playing around with the devil, you know, your day's gonna come, judgment day's gonna come.
One of my favorite songs written by him, actually. And then the cover of it is by Jill Scott. I love it. But it's like The Day I Met the Devil or something like that, and it's such a good song. Ugh, it's so good. And it's talking about that story of, you know, him actually going to the crossroads and doing that and selling his soul to the devil for the skills to be able to play the guitar at an amazing level.
You gotta stop playing with the devil. He also seems to become really good at the guitar really fast. They don't say that, but it seems as though he becomes good out of nowhere. There's a point in the movie where he's riding around in a car with Stax, and he starts to play his guitar for Stax, and Stax is blown away by how well he plays the guitar and by how well he sings. Granted, Stax and Smoke had been away in Chicago doing their thing for years. So, yes, obviously he could have learned to play the guitar within those years that they were gone. Yeah. But it's how well he was playing that surprised the hell out of him. Also, this guitar was given to Sammy by Stax and Smokes. So that's what I mean by his character kind of loosely being based off of Robert Johnson, because Robert Johnson gets his guitar from the devil. He got his guitar from his cousins. You could low-key say Ryan Coogler was doing something with that because his cousins were up to some devilish shit, and really nobody in the town wanted to fuck with them. Like, they knew, like, everybody in the town knew who Stax and Smokes were. Nobody really wanted to fuck with them like that, right? And who else you don't want to fuck with like that? You don't really want to fuck with the devil. But I might be reaching. Now, here's the part that really intrigues me. Robert Johnson's character is actually based off of a real person who got their musical talents from witches. He was then given a guitar by a merchant for free. He asked him, why is he giving it to him? He said he just felt like he should give it to him. Years later, witch hunters started hunting witches and anybody who got their gifts from witches. A lot of people in that time would call witches the devil. And this then ties in with vampires because the first vampire was supposedly, hypothetically, created by a witch. His character seems to be more based off of the guy who actually got his powers from witches rather than Robert Johnson. Think about it. He gets his gift from the devil, witches. He's then hunted down by someone who looks a lot like a witch hunter, minus the fangs. There were a lot of witch hunters in Ireland, and I just put this together. He was singing a lot of Irish songs in the movie. Stop it, Ryan Coogler. Who you talking to, fam? He was also given this guitar for free by his cousins, who are merchants. They were selling alcohol in Chicago. They came back to the South to sell you the Boom Boom Room. They're salesmen. And they gave it to him for free while doing devilish shit. I have never heard anyone tell that story before, so I'm trying to figure out who the fuck Ryan Coogler talking to. He might just be that creative, you know? He might just be that creative.
Who is he talking to?
I I think we all want to know who Ryan Coogler's been talking to. So then we move on to part 43. Part 43 was posted on April 30th of 2025. And in this video, Domo goes over 5 things that you didn't know about vampires. He covers things like vampires don't actually need permission to enter your home or dwelling, which he's already touched on earlier in the video, but he's going to go there just for a brief second again. He also goes over the fact that vampires are highly allergic to pink roses and how to use them. He mentions how vampires gain different abilities through age and time. And vampires, according to Domo, are not demonic, and they actually practice all kinds of different religions, hence like Buddhism, Hinduism, Christian, all types of different religions. According to Domo, vampires practice all sorts of religions.
5 things you didn't know about vampires. And this is all hypothetical, of course, but if you like this hypothetical shit, like, comment, follow, share, do all the things. Here we go. Vampires can absolutely walk into your house or wherever you are dwelling at any point, at any time. A vampire gaining access to your home through your invitation is not a thing. It's not a thing. 2, vampires are highly allergic to pink roses. A common deterrent for vampires was to dry out petals, pink rose petals, no other ones, just the pink ones. Dry those out, crush it up in olive oil, and then spray around their house, and that would keep vampires away. That's a thing. 3, vampires want you to eat more garlic because garlic is a natural blood thinner.
That makes sense.
And that makes it easier for them to feed. 4, vampires gain abilities through age and time. The idea that vampires can't be in the sun has some truth to it. No one under the age of 100, 110 is coming outside. Their skin just can't handle it. It's a development thing. Some of them also fly, but those vampires are like over 1,000 years old. 5, vampires are not demonic. They're just like humans when it comes to religion. They're Buddhist, Jewish, Christian vampires, atheists. The religious bunch really came out of way of assimilation, trying their best to be a part of this society. And again, this is all hypothetical, you know, like, because how the fuck would I know this? How the fuck would I know this?
You know that because you're one of them.
2 more things. I hate assimilation. I hate assimilating. I hate being told what to do. And follow for more.
Then we go on to part 44. Part 44 was posted on May 2nd of 2025. And again, there's a comment, and this comment says, "Bro, you look like retired Blade." So this prompts Domo to make a video covering the 5 jobs that you didn't know vampires did and why they would do those jobs. And he covers things such as any type of nightlife jobs, antique dealers, artists, or anything creative, any kind of caretaker or a librarian or anything in the archives. And then he's going to explain why. Check it out.
Here are 5 jobs that vampires do to easily assimilate with society. And of course, this is hypothetical, but if you like this hypothetical shit, please go ahead and follow, like, comment, share. Okay, here we go. 1, jobs in nightlife. Club owner, bartender, hostess. No, they don't have these jobs because they can't go out in the sun. Vampires have sensitive eyes and they see better at night. Anyone who's been around long enough knows how to exploit the innermost desires of human beings. Also, some vampires have facial features that don't allow them to hide who they are, so it's easier to hide who they are at night. 2, antique dealers. Nobody questions an antique dealer when they know a lot about an item that might be from 100, 200, 300 years in the past. No one questions them. Easiest job for a vampire. 3, an artist, an editor, a writer, a painter, a sculptor. This job allows them to work from home and remain reclusive. It's safe to say that these vampires were around during the Renaissance era, and they've probably been doing this their entire lives. It's also very easy to change your identity within the art world, which is a benefit for artists continuing their work centuries later. Hope that makes sense. 4, any kind of caretaking work. Taking care of a lighthouse, taking care of an old hotel, kind of like The Shining. It's work that can be done in solitary. Also, taking care of the elderly. Vampires are very much so used to death. Like, if you think a nurse or a doctor is numb. 5, a librarian or someone in charge of archives. In these places, the light's pretty low. It's usually dim. It's quiet, and vampires have access to a lot of historical records. You have photo albums and vampires have books. And here's a bonus one, but before I tell you, I just want to remind you to like, comment, and share. Everything I'm making from these videos will go to bringing my screenplay to the big screen. Okay, here's your bonus one. Social media influencer. We don't believe you. Doesn't matter.
So then we jump on to part 45 in this vampire series, and part 45 was posted on May 5th of 2025. And in this video, Domo goes over 5 things or traits that humans do or have that vampires don't. And he mentions things like arrogance or inflated self-worth, greed, hypocrisy, impatience, or hiding their sexuality. Apparently, these are all things that humans do that vampires don't even bother doing. And he's going to also explain why they wouldn't bother doing this. Check it out for yourselves.
5 things humans do that vampires don't do. And of course, this is all hypothetical because we all know vampires don't exist. But if you do like these hypothetical stories, remember to follow, like, comment, and share. Okay, here we go. 1, arrogance. Vampires don't have a false sense or an inflated sense of who they are. They know who they are. Other vampires know who they are. So there's no sense in that weird thing that humans do. 2, greed. Vampires know the value of money. They understand what money means. And they are, in fact, rich vampires. But vampires aren't willing to do things like, sacrifice other vampires for little green pieces of magical paper. That's something humans will do. Like, humans will act like they're okay with bombs dropping on tents for a little bit of paper. 3, hypocrisy. Amongst vampires, your word and your name mean something. It's actually your most valuable and lucrative asset. Saying something but then doing the opposite, verbalizing what you should be doing, and then actively doing the opposite, your actions show the opposite of your words, you're a poor man. You'd be poor. Humans, though, y'all just do it all the time. 4, being impatient. And this one I kind of understand just because we don't have as much time as vampires supposedly, hypothetically do. But vampires know how to take their time with things. I guess because they have a lot more time. 5, hiding sexuality. Just like humans, there's gay vampires, straight vampires, and everything in between. But what vampires won't do is waste a large chunk of their life denying who they are. And that's because in their society, there's not a lot of people shunning them for who they are. Like humans, like a gay dude would get married to a straight woman and just straight up spend like 30 years of his life with her and then waste 30 years of her life just to keep up the facade because of an opinion. Shit's crazy. Again, if you like all this hypothetical shit, do me a favor and hit all the buttons because with everything I'm making from this video, I'm going to fund my own screenplay, an independent film. Yeah, you heard right.
Then we go on to part 46 of this vampire series, and part 46 was posted on May 6th of 2025, so the very next day. And in this video, Domo is going to go over 5 things that are harmful to vampires. And in this video, Domo mentions a few things that we've already heard, but he also goes over some new ones that he has not mentioned yet. He mentions things like pink roses and how to use them, wooden stakes, but not just from any old tree. It has to be from a specific tree or trees. He mentions things like tainted blood, but the blood has to be tainted with silver, and it has to be enough silver. He mentions obsession and how vampires can actually become obsessed with humans and how that happens. And then he also says that rapidly flowing water is dangerous and harmful to vampires. And then he explains how it makes a vampire feel. Check it out.
5 things that are harmful to vampires. And of course, all of this is hypothetical because vampires don't exist, right? Of course. But if you do like all this hypothetical shit, do me a favor and follow, like, comment, and share. Before we start, I just want to say, I've been seeing comments like this, and I just want to say, I don't need these right now. I don't need these. I'm putting these glasses on because of allergies. It's allergy season, and it just stops pollen from getting in my eye. I don't need sunglasses. All right, let's go. 1, pink roses. I mentioned pink roses in a video a while back, and a lot of people were asking me, well, what's the difference between pink roses and red roses? I'm not a scientist, I don't know. Traditionally, to use pink roses as a way to keep vampires away, people would take the petals, they would bake them, burn them down, crush them, put it in olive oil, and spray it around their homes. In the 1600s, people would place pink roses on top of coffins suspected to be occupied by vampires. It worked for a time until vampires started tipping off their familiars, and familiars would just come and take the pink roses off, and all hell would break loose after that. 2, wooden stakes. Now, these wooden stakes can't come from just any tree. To actually affect a vampire, stakes would have to be made out of oak trees, hawthorn trees, a willow tree, or I'm forgetting one, an elderberry tree. 3, tainted blood. Contrary to what a lot of people believe, vampires can touch silver. But if silver were introduced to the blood that they would consume, and that blood sits with them for a while, it's painful. It's painful, and enough of it will do the trick. 4, obsession. Not every human could be every vampire's familiar. A familiar and a vampire have to connect on multiple levels for that connection to even happen. 1, the blood has to be right. 2, there should be a willingness to assist with feeding. And lastly, a vampire has to accept it. Its body has to accept it. So if all of those things don't happen, there's no connection made. Where that can go wrong is if a vampire gets a hold of some blood that he or she wasn't supposed to get a hold of. And now if their body accepts that blood, but there's an empty connection on the other side, that can then lead to obsession. Very unhealthy obsession. In some cases, the human could possibly control the vampire. You know, think of the really, really pretty girl in school. And, you know, the one guy that would do absolutely anything to be with her, doesn't matter how degrading it is, because she's so pretty to him, he'll do whatever. It's like that. Hope that explains that. 5, and before we get to the last one, I just want to remind y'all, if y'all like all this hypothetical shit, because that's what it is. That's what it is. If you like all this hypothetical shit, do me a favor and like, comment, share. Because everything I make from these videos, I'm going to use it to fund my screenplay, an independent film by Domo Draper. Yeah, I know you've been asking for it. I know I've been saying I'm going to do it. I'm trying to do it right now. That's what's going on. Also, I'll put these back on. Yeah, you already proved to y'all I don't need them. My eyes are burning now because of the pollen. Okay, number 5, flows of water. Now, obviously, a vampire can be in a lake or a river or an ocean, but if there's a lot of turbulence in that water, for a vampire, it feels kind of like your soul is shifting, like it's moving. You know, like your soul is the last bit of coffee in the coffee pot, and someone's just shaking it around. It feels like that, or painful. Oh shit! I just saw a rabbit. Excuse me.
Then we go on to part 47 of this vampire series, and part 47 was posted on May 7th of 2025. And this video, Domo is giving top 5 life advice from a vampire. And he mentions a variety of things, from learn the value of time all the way through try to understand why you're really here.
Top 5 life advice from a vampire. Now, I'm not a vampire. This is all hypothetical. All the information I'm about to give is from the internet. But if you do like this hypothetical shit, do me a favor and follow, like, comment, and share. Okay, here we go. 1, learn the value of time. A common thing I hear amongst, we always say time is moving fast. The only reason time seems to be moving faster than it usually is because you are not in the moment. And that's not necessarily your fault, because we live in a society where you constantly are thinking about the past and your mistakes from the past, and you're constantly thinking about the future because you're trying to figure out, you know, how you want to make ends meet. You got problems. We all got problems. I get it. It feels like time is moving faster for you because you're not in the moment. Think of it like this. You ever doze off during a movie? Like, you start a movie and then you doze off and then you wake back up and it's 45 minutes into the movie and you're like, how the hell did that happen? I felt like I just fell asleep. You were not in the moment. 2, enjoy your meals. Enjoy meals. Whatever you are, you're a meat eater, you know, you're a vegetarian, you're a vegan, enjoy your meals. Don't rush your meals. Savor the taste.
I do that all the time.
Take a few more extra chews. Because something I'm realizing humans we don't realize is that you never know when you could go hungry. We really don't actually internalize how quickly we could all be hungry. 3, try to understand why you're really here. If you think your purpose on this planet is to work 80 hours a week for the next 50 years, and then when you retire, you die the next couple of days, if you think that's your purpose, you out of your fucking mind. Do not let money be the thing that cripples you. About a year ago, I was crowdfunding to build the budget to properly fund my screenplay. a lot of people in the comments were saying, well, if you're a vampire, then why you ain't rich enough to fund your own film? First of all, I ain't no vampire. I'm not a vampire. Second of all, vampires know to live within their means. And by living within your means, you know, nasty things like backstabbing your friend or taking away health care from poor people or, you know, deporting the people who actually work the hardest in this country. Those ideas don't come into a vampire's mind. That's for shiesty people. For get into the arts. Art has been something that has been recession-proof, depression-proof, comet-proof. Oh shit, we about to be extinct-proof. There's an idea that art doesn't matter as much as it does, and that idea comes from people who can't do it and don't want people to do it because they would profit too much from it. Sculpting, painting, content creation, TV shows, film, doodling, sketching, whatever the fuck. Do it. Hypothetically, there's people from the Renaissance still doing their thing today, getting paid. If that's your thing, you know. And five, the world will always balance itself, so make sure you're good before you go outside. There's energies at play out here that we humans don't know about. If you're a fucked up individual and you keep wondering why your life is fucked up, say no more. Wonder no more. Your life is fucked up because you fucked up. And I'm not talking about people who fall on hard times. No, I'm talking about people who will do fucked up shit and then karma will bite them in the ass and then they'll try to say, well, what the fuck happened? Well, why did that happen to me? Bitch, you know. Bitch, you know. When your life is balanced, when your energy is balanced, when your equilibrium is balanced, when your karma is balanced, the whole world falls into place. You could go into a pit of mosquitoes and not get bit because your shit is balanced. Promise you. Animals and insects will flock to you and be in complete harmony if you practice this shit. I promise you. He's just chilling. So is he. You want to come up? Okay.
Don't click off the video yet because we have not made it to part 49 and 50 yet. And I promise you're going to want to see what Domo is going to do in parts 49 and 50. Then we move on to part 48 of this vampire series. And part 48 was posted on May 23rd of 2025. And again, there's a comment. And this comment reads, can vampires really shapeshift or turn into bats? Like, is that a real thing? And Domo says no. This is a misconception. This misconception actually stemmed from a story that happened in 1472. And then Domo goes on to tell this story that started the misconception that vampires actually can turn into bats. Check it out.
The misconception of vampires shape-shifting into bats comes from the story I'm about to tell you. Remember, this is all hypothetical as vampires don't exist apparently. But if you do like these hypothetical stories, remember to follow, like, comment, share. Okay, here we go. The story I'm about to tell takes place in 1472. Sorry, I couldn't remember the date. I do a lot of research. In Argentina, a villager named Raphael discovered that witches were capable of making vampires. He heard that becoming a vampire could save him from the sickness that he was suffering from. At the time, no one knew what the sickness was. We now know that was TB that he had, tuberculosis. Anyway, in an effort to cure himself, he went to a witch and asked them to change him. During this time and many centuries after that, witches were hunted and labeled as demons. So she did what any smart person would do. She lied. She acted as if she didn't know what he was talking about and refused to talk about the situation anymore. He threatened to out her to everybody, knowing the punishment witches can get. He tried to use that as leverage, but she knew it was better to plead her case in front of everyone as opposed to admit to being a witch. So she called his bluff and told him to do what he has to do. Now, obviously, he can't tell anybody about her because he needs to be cured. So instead of telling everyone about her, he kidnaps her daughter. Days go by and she doesn't know where her daughter is. She's frantic, she's scared. And then he finally comes to her again and says, I need you to change me or I'll kill your daughter. Being in the position that she was in, she agreed to change into a vampire. But not the vampire that he thought he was going to change into. Just some context. In this day, witches turned humans into rats as punishment. But she felt like this punishment wasn't severe enough for him. So instead, she granted him the gift that he wanted so badly. She turned him into a vampire, but a deformed one. She told him that to cure his sickness, he would have to consume blood. And she gave him all the gifts to find the blood. She gave him excellent sight. She gave him excellent hearing and an excellent sense of smell. He could smell or hear the blood vessels from a very far ways away. But what she didn't tell him was that she was going to make him the perfect combination of a vampire and a rat. This is why vampire bats are one of the only bats to walk and crawl. Unlike vampires who do consume blood, but can also consume the foods humans consume, the vampire bats only consume blood, which means for the rest of his life, he'll have to be consuming blood if he wants to keep the TB at bay. As time went on, he reproduced, and more people started seeing what vampire bats do. By the 1500s, the village was inundated with vampire bats. They would bite horses and pigs and goats and sometimes humans. As time went on, and humans were getting bitten more and more, vampires were being blamed. Because the humans never caught vampires biting humans, but constantly caught vampire bats biting humans, they assumed that vampires were shape-shifting into vampire bats. Also, vampire bats weren't called vampire bats in the beginning. They were called Desmodus rotundus.
Desmodus rotundus?
That name was quickly discarded after folklore and reality started to blend.
So then we move on to part 49, and part 49 was posted on May 24th of 2025. And again, there's a comment, and this comment reads, "Have you ever said why you are in Japan?" Domo goes on to explain that he's been posting to TikTok about being a vampire because he doesn't want to live in isolation or hiding anymore. He goes on to tell us that there's a vampire council that doesn't want Domo sharing his story. So Domo says that it's not safe for him, so he ran to Japan. Domo goes on to say that he is now in Japan for Juhatsu, or better known as the practice of making someone disappear completely. He said that this isn't his first time doing this Japanese ceremony either. He apparently, according to Domo, has done this before. Domo goes on to say that it is now time for Domo Draper to no longer exist. He will have to change his name and fake his unaliving so that he's safe and he can stop running from the Vampire Council. Domo is kind of sad though, because he said that he really liked the name Domo Draper and the life that he was living. Domo goes on to say that he is getting ready to board a boat to go to an undisclosed location to start over. Will this be one of our last times hearing from Domo Draper? I guess we'll find out. Side note, in this video, you're again going to hear Domo use his little vampire, familiar tongue mantra chant thing. I don't know what even to call this language he's going to speak in, but I don't like it just as much as I didn't like it the first couple times I heard it. I just wanted to give you a heads up that you're going to hear it again. But check it out and let me know what you think.
As a lot of you may know, I've been on the internet saying a lot of things about vampires. A lot of you guys ask me, well, don't you feel unsafe divulging all of these secrets? Yeah, it's not safe. So why do I do it? Because contrary to popular belief, a lot of vampires don't want to be in hiding anymore. There is a vampire council, and they're tired of me. They came for me. So I ran. My bags were always packed. I was always ready to do this. But I also didn't care because it was coming upon that time to change lives, start a new life. I'm in Japan for Juhatsu. It's the practice of making someone disappear, completely changing their lives, starting a whole new life, making them disappear from the face of the planet. It's not my first time. So now I'm on a boat on my way to an undisclosed location to start over. It's either that or fight back. And, it was worth it. I had a blast with y'all. This was fun. I could fight back, but it's just me. And I'm not strong enough. Here's my ride. I'll keep making videos until Domo Draper isn't a thing anymore. It sucks though because I really like this name. I really like Domo Draper. Dilak Balakashuno. My familiars, you know the plan. Start now.
Weird, right? And don't go anywhere because I promise you're not ready for what's going to happen next. Let's move on. So then we move on to part 50, and this is where it's going to really take a turn, okay? And we're almost done. We're not quite done yet, but we're almost done. Anyways, part 50 was posted to Domo's TikTok page on May 28th of 2025. Again, there's a comment, and this comment reads, "Hypothetically, wouldn't these hypothetical videos make a hypothetical vampire council very angry? Hypothetically, of course. hours. Domo goes on to tell a story. He says that this is the most recent story that he has ever told, and that it's a story about how a young, daring, brave vampire was running away from the Vampire Council and hiding in Japan to stay safe. In this story that Domo is telling, said vampire decides he doesn't want to run anymore. Domo tells the story of how this young, brave vampire used pink roses to stand up to the Vampire Council and defeat them once and for all. No more running. Domo doesn't actually come out and say that he is the vampire in this story, but he does say that he doesn't have to hide anymore in Japan. So I guess that the name Domo Draper is like here to stay, at least for a little while. I don't know. Check it out and let me know what you think.
The story I'm about to tell you is the most recent story I've ever told. Once there was a young vampire, relatively and comparatively young. Let's call this young vampire Vic. He started talking about vampires on social media. Although this was forbidden by his council, he spoke on the origin of vampires, how humans could be changed into vampires. He even went as far as showing his fangs on social media. His followers would constantly ask him if revealing these secrets would anger the council, and the answer is yes. So why would he do it? He and many other vampires were tired of living in hiding, and to change that, the council could put them in hiding would have to be dismantled. Similar to humans, vampires aren't allowed to kill other vampires. If caught, there's no jury, there's no judge, there's no trial, it's just the council. Only elders were allowed to eradicate other vampires. They had to have a just cause, a justifiable reason. So Vic came up with a plan. He would break all the rules in an effort to get the council to have to eradicate him. He would have to give them a good reason so that they can justify his true death to the other three councils: Northern, Eastern, Southern. The last part of the plan was to go to Japan under the disguise of starting a new life. Juhasu. He knew the council would take this opportunity to eradicate him. He also knew that the only people who could rightfully eradicate him would be the council themselves. To make the trip from west to east, all 5 council members would be locked away in their coffins with a 13-hour supply of blood bags. Vic, who secretly became the champion of the vampires who were tired of hiding, convinced those vampires to tell their familiars to spray those coffins with oil infused with pink roses. Pink roses, being very harmful to vampires, left the council members with no choice other than to stay in their coffins. By doing this, Vic technically did not break the cardinal rule in regards to vampires killing vampires. After 20 days without blood, the council members would shrivel and turn to dust. Knowing about the decade-long feud between the Western and the Eastern Council, Vic was able to come to an agreement with the Eastern Council in which they sanctioned his plan. The Western Council was under the impression that their coffins would be delivered directly to the Eastern Council, in which they would discuss the eradication of Vic. But instead, they're on a ship, sailing to who knows where, locked away in their coffins with maybe 3 to 5 1-ounce blood bags left. Vic was safe to go home, but before he went home, he explored Japan and China. He was already over here. He might as well, right?
Now, if I'm being real,
Okay,
stuff
good.
like this irritates me. And I think I already said this once earlier in the video, but it definitely does irritate me because Damo's story is so fucking believable to me. Like, it is so real. He is such a good storyteller that, like, either he's the best liar I've ever seen or I really truly believe what he's saying. That is until he
Interesting.
posts things like this. And that's why this irritates me
This
so much.
doesn't sound
Because his story is so believable and he spends so much time and details making it believable and making you like absolutely eat up everything that he's selling. But then when he posts stuff like this, and it makes it seem like it's a joke or BS or like a stunt or like a skit, and it's not real. But everything else is insanely real. So it leaves me in like this weird gray area of not knowing what I'm watching or like what to think of it. So maybe he's doing this on purpose to like make it seem like it's not real and allow our brains to like protect us, like he said earlier in the video. I don't know. All I know is I'm like totally like drinking his Kool-Aid 1000%, and then he does something like this and I'm like, I don't know, Domo. But that's why I had to present you guys with all this information. You take it all in and let me know what you
love
think.
this.
Now we move on to part 51. And as of the time of recording this video, this was the last update that Domo had posted to his TikTok page. I will, as always, keep tabs on him and update you as this story continues. But as of the time of recording this video, this is the last update that I have from Domo. So part 51 was posted on June 23rd of 2025. And yet again, there is a comment. And this comment reads, "I'm never skipping a vampire story again. Everyone shush." And again, Domo goes on to tell another story. This story took place in 1807, and it's a story time surrounding a bell tower and a vampire romance. How will it end, and what will happen? I guess you'll just have to watch to find out.
The story I'm about to tell is a hypothetical story, of course, because it takes place in 1807. And as there is no way I could be around or exist in the year 1807, it's just a story.
Can't.
In the year 1807 in Paris, France, there was a church with a bell tower on top. This church was abandoned after the French Revolution. Because it was abandoned, there was nobody there to ring the bell in the tower, the bell that the townspeople were so used to hearing. They didn't hear it for 4 years. And in the year 1804, they heard it again for the first time. They were used to hearing it ring at noon and at midnight. But when they heard it again, after 4 years of not hearing it, they were only hearing it at midnight, and they didn't understand why. But because it brought back such nostalgia and a sense of the times before, no one questioned it. Everyone just kind of went on with their day and just enjoyed the sounds of the bell at midnight. For 3 years, no one questioned it, and that takes us to the year 1807. In 1807, rich aristocrats bought the church, and they wanted to change it into a glamorous church, you know, with all the paintings and the gold trimmings and everything that you saw from the Renaissance era. Construction would happen during the day, but during the night, the owners needed someone to watch over the property. So they hired a local man to live in the church just to guard it at night. This local man had a daughter. Let's call this daughter Crystal. Crystal was 17 years old, and she was a writer. During the day, she spent most of her time up in the bell tower writing. One day, she dropped her feather pen, and it floated down and landed in a spot that would be too dangerous for her to retrieve it from. She also had multiple feather pens, so she really didn't worry about it. The next day, she goes back up to the bell tower, and she sees that her feather pen has been placed in the spot that she was writing the day before. Crystal, putting two and two together, realizes that there's somebody living in the bell tower. She calls out to see if anybody would answer, and nobody answered. And even though no one answered, it didn't stop her from talking to them. For 11 days straight, Crystal went up to the bell tower and read her stories out loud to the person that she knew was living in the bell tower. On day 12, the person who was living in the bell tower finally showed his face. Let's call this person Ronaldo. At 19, Ronaldo's entire family was attacked by vampires. His mother, his father, his two sisters, and younger brother didn't make it. He was the only one to make it. And by make it, I don't even mean stay alive. I mean, he was the only one to be transformed. Fearful that the vampires might come back and finish the job, Ronaldo ran and he hid in the safest place he could possibly find, a church. The day Ronaldo was transformed, he was between the age of 17 and 19, somewhere in that space. And although he looked like he was 19 years old, he was actually 28. It might have been the amount of years he was in solitude. It might be that he liked her stories. It might be that he liked her. I don't know. But starting on that 12th day, Crystal and Ronaldo were inseparable. Ronaldo was a banny vampire. Banny vampire is kind of a way to, it's like saying a bastard. Pure vampires are raised, and they're raised by vampires who have been through it for many, many years. This is why you won't usually hear a pure vampire let you in on any secrets about vampires. Ronaldo, being the banny vampire that he was, he told Crystal everything. He told her what happened to his family. He told her that he can't go out in the sunlight. New vampires can't bear the sun yet. Their tolerance hasn't been built enough. He told her that he feeds off of livestock from different farmlands around the area. He told her everything. Every piece of new information that he gave her made her fall even more in love with him. She thought that he was a manifestation of all the stories that she had written over the years. 2 years later, Crystal's father dies, and the owner of the church asked her if she wants to take over the duties, and naturally she said yes. Over the years, the church never got the attention that it should have gotten because rich aristocrats will do that. They will buy things and then just forget about them because money corrupts the mind. It corrupts the mind, makes people materialistic. Anyway, luckily for Crystal and Ronaldo, they were able to live in that church unbothered for the next 15 years. Until one day, a group of boys, there's 3 of them, came into the church in an effort to figure out who was ringing the bell in the bell tower. Crystal wasn't there at the time, but Ronaldo was. The 3 boys explored the bell tower in an effort to find any evidence of who might be up there. And they found it. Ronaldo had just finished feeding on a dozen squirrels. His fangs were out, his face was bloody. He looked up and he saw the 3 boys, and the 3 boys saw him. It's said that they stared at each other for what seemed like an eternity, not knowing what to do until someone did something. One of the boys picked up a shovel and swung it at Ronaldo. Ronaldo snatched his arm off. The 2 other boys ran. Ronaldo caught up and caught one of the boys. That boy, too, was dismembered. The last boy ran out of the door, and luckily for him, it was broad daylight. When Crystal got home, she saw the massacre and knew exactly what happened. She told Ronaldo that he needed to leave. Ronaldo wanted no parts of that because he didn't want to leave her. She said, "You're not leaving me, I'm coming with you." She also let him know that she wanted to be just like him. She wanted him to turn her. Knowing that his parents and his siblings didn't make it, he was rightfully so worried about the fact that she might not make it. She pleaded with him and said, "Every day I get older and you stay younger, and I'd love to be with you forever." Not to mention that if she's found out to have been harboring a vampire for this long and didn't tell anybody, they would probably burn her at the stake for being a witch. When she laid it out like that for him, Ronaldo agreed to try and change her. He bit her, he bit himself, she drank his blood, and after 8 hours, she luckily turned. Around the same time, a bunch of townspeople were storming and marching to the church to burn it down. And that they did. They burned that church to the ground. By the morning, the church had fell, and there was no sign of Crystal or Ronaldo. Some people say they burned to a crisp. Others say that they escaped in the night during the frenzy. But I do know that later on in their future, they did meet up with a person, let's call him Vic. They met up with a person named Vic, who then became one of their best friends. And Vic hid them for years until they were able to go out on their own. Or they burned up in the church. I don't know. It's really all hypothetical.
So now you have all the information, you have all the tea, you have all the updated to-date info that is out there on Domo's TikTok page of all of the videos that he has made, quote-unquote, proving that he is a vampire. Now, put this video with part 1, now that you've, watched them all and consumed all of the information there is, all 51 parts. What do you guys think? Is Domo Draper a vampire? Or is he just like a really talented screenwriter and like we should be all like holding our hats for when he drops his like independent film that he's making himself? Because if he is making this up, then that independent film is probably going to be the best fucking movie I've ever seen in my whole life. Like for real. I don't know what to make of him. I don't know if he's telling the truth. I don't know if he's a real like 363-year-old vampire who's living his 11th life. I don't know. All I know is if anybody else was telling the story, it would be so quick for me to write it off and be like, yeah, okay, you're a lie. But it's Domo, and he's so convincing, and his stories seem like factually accurate. And then he has little aspects of his story that I don't even know where he's getting the information from. Like I said, at the end of part 1, the very first video I made on this, he mentioned something about pink roses. If you have pink roses outside your house, cut and burn them expeditiously, please and thank you. That's what he said in the very last clip that I had of him, part 20. He said that at the end of it. And I spent the past year trying to find what he was talking about with these pink roses. What do pink roses do with vampires? Anything. I found nothing. it was not until I'm making this video and seeing these new updates from Domo that I finally got an answer on what pink roses do to vampires. So like, it's stuff like that that leads me to believe that maybe he is telling the truth. I don't know though. I had to present you with all the information and you let me know what you think. Personally, I think he dropped a lot of truth bombs on us, but like, hey, I'm absolutely insane, so what do I know? Anyways, we've officially made it to the end of today's video. Thank you guys so much for your time. I really appreciate everybody hanging out with me. It means more than you will ever know. And for those of you who made it to the end of this video, y'all already know, y'all are the real ones. I love you so much. Do me a favor and drop a comment saying fact or fiction in the comment section below, just so I know.
Honestly, this was an amazing video. Thanks so much. I think your name is The Dark Side of the Truth. Yeah. Dark Side of the Truth, for making this video and putting all this together. The compilation was amazing, especially for part 1 and part 2. I enjoyed both. It was definitely an up and down type of road. It was very exciting to learn more and more about vampires and about Domo in general. I am very invested in weird stuff like this, so I love hearing about it, and I love learning about it, and I think it's a very important thing. Whether it is real or not doesn't matter, because I love suspending my disbelief, and I like to think that, yes, the world is a lot weirder than we give it prominence to be. It really is just a weird place, and that makes living a little bit more interesting. When you think of the world in that lens, you know, mermaids are real, vampires are real, ghosts, demons, and angels and gods are real. Everything is real. Glitches in our matrix, in our realities, it's real. And when you think of things in that way, you see why the world is so much more interesting than we give it credit for. At least I believe so. So in this instance, I do think that Domo, he's super convincing, as she said, so convincing. I do think he can convince you that he is a vampire and a real one living. I've heard stories from in real life from people who have said they've seen vampires, like real life vampires. So I'm not like, oh, I don't believe. No, I do. I believe. And I myself have seen a lot of things. Fairy tale like things, like folklore type things, and I wrote books on them and everything, and I don't know. If you don't believe, that is fine. Because, you know, that's normal. As described, you know, our human psyche, we like to try and protect ourselves from things that we don't understand, the void and the darkness of confusing unknowns. But I'm the type person to really be into the dark and the void of the unknowns. I like that. That is stuff that I'm interested in. So I don't shy away from it whenever I see it or see something like it trying to explain itself to me. Aliens, 1000% real. Come on, do not lie. And if they're real, then what about everything else? I mean, there is literal things of old ancient rocks with carvings and drawings of these beings on them. And those people back then, were they faking it for views? No, they were just living their lives, and then they just came upon, like, mermaids and stuff and just described it. Oh yeah, I saw this. Oh yeah, this happened. Oh, a ghostly battleship war was taking place inside of the sky, etc. So, yeah. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any more recommendations for me, leave them below in the comment section. And I think that's everything.